Hello and welcome to a new video since forever. I've been caught up in a lot of stuff in Poland and during vacation, so I didn't really have time to record. Sorry about that, but today I'm gonna do something about Pokemon again, and I hope everyone likes Pokemon still, or my channel, or both. But alright, so I'm gonna have to talk about a few things here. There's not gonna be any battles or showdown. There is gonna be a bit about showdown, but not battling. It's just gonna be a how I would change Pokemon based on my observations and also experience from other games I've been playing recently. Because I've been playing a few different games recently. Just in my spare time, I didn't really have time for Pokemon, and I didn't have time or opportunity to record Pokemon. But anyway, so let's start with reviewing Pokemon that have been revealed that I have not touched upon. So there is the Pokemon we know so far. There's the Wooloo everyone's crazy about. There's Yamper. Okay, so here's the cream Pokemon, which has strawberries on its head. And it's a cream Pokemon. It's like, people hate Garbodor because it's trash Pokemon. Here's cream Pokemon. We already had cotton candy. I don't know. Well, here is cold Pokemon, I guess. Yeah, it's a cold Pokemon. It's okay, I guess. It's not that bad. It looks a bit like Rock and Roller, but at least its eyes glowy. Then there's this thing. It looks like Digimon. This looks 100% like Digimon. It also looks like some kind of phone charger, or no, like a docking station or something like that. Steel Dragon. I guess it's fine though. It's okay. I'm gonna talk about that in a second. Then we have this, more Pico. Looks like a Pikachu clone of this generation. A bit more hamstery though. Yeah, it's a hamster. Two-sided Pokemon. I get it. That's okay. It also has some hangry form. Was it supposed to be hungry? I don't know. There's some okay, that's fine. Okay, there's a guy here. I don't know. It's an unnamed Pokemon. This guy here with a white tie. He's an unnamed Pokemon, by the way. And there's a Zacian and Zamazenta. We all knew the Dark Souls Pokemon. But yeah, okay. So I don't know about this one. It's just like it's fine, but anyway. Continuing on, we have Galarian forms have been revealed, which is a continuation of the Gen 7 forms, whatever that was called, I forgot now. Oh, Alolan forms, yeah. So it's continuation of Alolan forms, and to be honest, I never liked Alolan forms that much because it's just, revisiting old Pokemon and making them slightly different and calling it a new thing. Eh. And this is the perfect example of why it should not happen. Galarian wheezing. I don't know. Do you guys like it? I honestly think it's terrible because like they added chimney hats and mustache and made it black, and that's apparently fairy because of this. Fairy? Poison fairy? How the hell is this pile of shit fairy? Can anyone explain? I don't know. Anyway, this is pretty cool. This is actually the coolest thing about Sword and Shield so far is Kiss, Gene Simmons, a Zigzagoon, and Gene Simmons Lanoon. They look actually pretty cool. I like it, especially that Zigzagoon is a meme Pokemon of my channel. And it's actually pretty nice to see, something new happen to him. We're gonna use him. But the problem is that they made him exactly the same as they did with Raticate for Alolan Raticate, Dark Normal. It was like Dark Normal Raticate, Dark Normal Zigzagoon, Dark Normal Linoon. It's next gen we're gonna have Dark Normal Bidoof, which is gonna be some kind of regional form. Dark Normal Bidoof. I don't know, but this is 100% Kiss inspired. 100% the tongue, the stars, the red eyes. This is Kiss. This is also Kiss. This is pretty nice. And then this is actually the coolest thing about Sword and Shield so far is that they made an evolution of Linoon, which is pretty cool because we have not seen evolutions of previous Pokemon since Gen 4, I think. Was there any? No, there was Mega Evolutions, but there wasn't any evolution. This is cool. This is revisiting Gen 4, or the even number of generations. So Obstagoon, it looks pretty cool. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's nice. I think it's actually the best thing about this generation so far. Obstagoon. The only thing is it's also dark normal, and I'm gonna talk about a few things later, so keep that in mind. But I think it's cool. And then we have Gigantamax forms. So remember how there was a leak on 4chan about, I don't know, 2 months ago or something, talking about Gigantamax, talking about Dynamax, talking about a lot of things, and actually they turned out to be right, so that's pretty interesting. Someone really leaked shit. But anyway, Gigantamax forms are, I don't know, I really, really don't like this. I know I sound like some kind of wet blanket here, being, oh, this is bad, this is bad, this is shit, this is shit. But they made a huge cake Pokemon that evolved from from the cream Pokemon. Huge cake Pokemon? Cake? It's like, then Corviknight is just bigger and has some kind of fog or mist around his head. Dreadnought is also, I don't know, this doesn't really push Pokemon forward in my opinion. Because, I mean, this is okay, this changed from some kind of whipped cream to a cake, but still it's kind of stupid, not gonna lie. Not the biggest fan of the design, but okay, that's different. But these guys just become bigger. It's like, I don't know, they're just bigger. They look bigger, they probably get some moves, but that's it. That's honestly it, right? That's not something I wanted to see. Anyway, okay, now something about the evil teams. Well, I was kind of skeptic with Team Skull being all gangster rap and mafia. No, not mafia. The other thing, the gangs basically. It was like okay, it was funny, and now we have this Team Yell. It's actually a thing, Team Yell. When I saw the leak, I was like, Team Yell is never happening. Well, it is happening, Team Yell. And it looks like punks, and it looks like an evolution of Team Skull. It's honestly becoming more and more stupid in my opinion. It's apparently some kind of group that's a fan of some girl, Marnie, I think. And it's like it's not even a team anymore. It's just some fan club that looks like punks. I don't know. It might just be me being like a 50-year-old guy here being, oh, Pokemon used to be great, now it's pretty bad. Pokemon was the best back in my days, now it's shit, but honestly, Team Yell is the worst team so far, at least from my initial, reaction. I mean, there was stupid teams. Team Aqua and Team Magma were stupid because their plans were stupid. Like, we want to increase the land mass, we want to increase the water mass. It's like, why? You want to drown us or you want to desolate us or whatever? But this is like, oh yeah, we're a team. We love this girl and we're gonna just Team Yell. I really don't know. That's it basically for me talking about Pokemon Sword and Shield right now. Again, ranting about it a tiny bit, but it's just my opinion. You don't have to like it. You can dislike this video. You can do whatever you want. I'm just talking about what I want to talk about here. But now, let's actually talk about Pokemon in general, and in particular, let's talk about Pokemon Showdown, which is, my bread and butter here. How I would change Pokemon if I could, if I wasn't Game Freak, I would basically do some stuff to make it a bit more pleasant to play, let's say, because I've been playing a few different games recently, strategy games and card games and all that, and Pokemon basically falls flat in my opinion. It's really not that interesting of a game to play compared to other games, and Pokemon Showdown is not even that aesthetically pleasing. And of course, I know there would have to be some graphic designers hired and all that, but you know what I mean, right? It could be much more. So let me tell you, based on the examples from Sword and Shield again, what I would change. So for example, here's some new abilities, right? For Sword and Shield, we have Ball Fetch, which is pretty cool in the overworld. It's like if you fail to catch a Pokemon, you get the ball back. That's pretty cool. That's actually cool. But look at this. Cotton Down lowers the speed. Well, we already had Gooey. We already had Tangling Hair. This is exactly the same ability, programming-wise. It's just a different name for a different Pokemon, which I find very, very boring. Hunger Switch changes Morpiko's form, changes Morpiko's Aura Wheel attack from electric to dark. Interesting, but only for a single Pokemon and only for a single move. Dedicate a whole ability. I don't know. And then Steam Engine is drastically increases speed when hit by a fire or water type move. It's like Flare Boost, but with water type. which I guess isn't bad, but it's still, this is not interesting, okay? In my opinion, for the game, for the battles, this is not interesting anymore. Let's talk about attacks again. Aura Wheel is interesting, but only when you combine it with this Pokemon and this ability. Then it's interesting, alright? Branch Poke, Exhaustive Beam, 140 Steel Special, but reduces hit points by 50. It's the same as Mind Blown and Obstruct, we don't know. But honestly, Pokemon is going downhill with what interesting stuff it brings to the table. In my opinion, there should be much more special Pokemon, like not special as in the special attack, but special Pokemon that serve a purpose in your team, like no other. Because if you think about it, you can actually tailor most Pokemon to do the same things, all right? And what I'm talking about with special Pokemon is something, and that's not the best. That's not the best example. But think about Wobbuffet. Wobbuffet is a special Pokemon that serves a special purpose. It has Shadow Tag, it has Counter, it has Mirror Code. You're playing mind games with your opponent. You can encore them and then switch out. You can try to predict if they're gonna attack you and counter. It's actually a very interesting Pokemon in my opinion that sees very little play because it just gets outshined by Pokemon like Greninja and Heatran and all that. But Heatran, how how special is Heatran compared to, I don't know, something else that's fire and can like hit with a no, what's it called? Z fire attack, whatever it was called. Um, Inferno Overdrive, there it is. And set up Stealth Rocks, right, and tank a few hits. It's like Pokemon makes it, or adding new Pokemon doesn't really change much in the metagame, except that there's a few more abilities and a few more different Pokemon. But you can really tailor Pokemon to do the same things by different Pokemon. Keldeo and Greninja can basically do the same fast water special attacks, but they're gonna be different in the, that the one gets Water Shuriken, one gets Sacred Sword instead of Dark Pulse. It's different, but it's not vastly different. And I think there should be more variety in using a single Mon than just being like, okay, we're gonna have the same two Pokemon do the same stuff. Morpeko is cool, but it is really, you really need three components to do one thing, and it can only do one thing. Like Aura Wheel is the only thing that it's special about. Then it's probably gonna have like Nuzzle, and it's probably gonna have something like, I don't know, Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, U-Turn. And so many Pokemon can do that stuff, so you're not really choosing anything special, really. And they also, in my opinion, there should be less annoying or boring things like hazards. Because think about it, the single move that defines the meta every generation is Stealth Rocks or something like Spikes, but Spikes is less defining. But Stealth Rocks is the single reason why every team should run the Fog or Rapid Spin, right? It's just stupid. It breaks so many things. It deals 50 damage on entry to fire and flying or fire bug Pokemon. It ruins sashes. It ruins sturdies. It's, I don't know. I feel like having moves in the game like this is just kind of making the game more boring in a way, because you're not really thinking about special Pokemon, as I talked about, where they really serve a special purpose. You're really thinking about how I'm gonna, deal additional damage to make sure my sweeper, bandit sweeper, or scarf sweeper does the job, which is okay, I think, but it really shouldn't define the meta. And then I want to talk about having more archetypes in the game, and what archetypes are. It's kind of hard to define in a way, but it's something that works well together, and it's supposed to work well together. For example, Rain Team is an archetype, Sun Team is an archetype, Hail Team or something. So Weather Teams basically are archetypes, or Trick Room Team is an archetype, but how much more do you think there is? Hyper Offense is an archetype, but it's only an archetype because you can fit Pokemon to it, right? But there isn't. I think Weather and Trick Room are the only two I can really think of that are defined as archetypes. So you're really trying to build a team around a gimmick which works. And I'm not talking about some new meta or U meta stuff where it doesn't work, but it seems fun, like, Sword Stance or a Spear. But I'm talking about stuff where it actually makes a lot of sense to do stuff. So let's say there was a move that always reversed your special attack and attack for the duration of the game, for example, or ability, something like Trick Room, but that lasts longer or something like that. And then you would have to have Pokemon that have that kind of moves, like Psyshock or something, or I don't know, something interesting that happens. And then you have a team like that, and your opponent has a normal team, which, just runs the viability S OU Pokemon. And then your team is like, wow, what? So now my Water Shuriken does absolutely jack shit because it counts by attack instead of special attack, which I'm choice spec, so I do 0 damage. And you do a lot of damage with your, I don't know, superpower that counts your special attack on your Reuniclus or something like that. I don't know. But that would be interesting. That would make a lot of more sense in playing the meta, because if you watch Pokemon battles, they're really interesting to the point where people try new stuff, but there's a lot of same teams, same Pokemon doing the same stuff, and I don't know. That's also partly the reason why I kind of lost interest in it, because other games really have those archetypes, really have those interesting stuff that you can show with your playing. Um, and also you could have trainers that define the archetype, because you can kind of see it in the game in leaders and champion or elite four, because their archetype is the types they run, right? So you have like a poison type leader, then he's gonna have only poison type Pokemon, and he's gonna try to toxic spikes you. But it is kind of weak, because when you know there's only one type and you have type advantage, then it's a bad archetype. But you know what I mean, right? There could be a trainer class, for example, on Showdown. Let's talk about Showdown. On Showdown, you could choose, instead of choosing Avatar just to, have an avatar that you like, you could choose an archetype that you want to play. So, for example, you have I don't know, you choose Byron, and that makes your Pokemon have 50 less or 50% less speed, but 50% more defense, something like that. And then you really, really, really want to build a very stally, very defensive team with, Mega Aggron and Steelix and Blissey, whatnot, right? That would be interesting in my opinion. Or you could have someone like Zinnia Avatar, and then it would be like, oh yeah, all your dragon types are now, or they are not very effective versus fairies, instead of being, immune or something. And that would be very, very interesting, because you would go into a battle, you would see the avatar, and be, oh, I'm versus Hyper Offense Dragon Resist team, something, something. Okay, cool. How do I play against that? That would make it a bit harder to always win battles when you know your team, or, regularly, or better chances for it, or whatever. But it would be a lot more interesting, in my opinion. It would make the game less binary in a way. And talking about binary, I'm also gonna talk about, please have less RNG in the games. Because, of course, RNG is important in a way that it makes the game less predictable, but it also makes the game just stupid in a way. Because let's assume the situation where you played your game perfectly. You really played your game perfectly versus a player who also played their game perfectly, but you were just better. You had a better team. You were doing better. You were stronger. You were, just playing much, much better. Still perfectly, like your opponent, but you were just better. And it comes down to your, I don't know, Megalopony having 40% health versus their Aggron. And you need to hit your high jump kick, which has 90% accuracy. And you miss and you lose. Even though your tactic, your plans, your everything was perfect, you lose because there was a 10% chance of missing and dealing 50%. That honestly just ruins the game in my opinion. Because your opponent wins even though they played worse. It doesn't reward the player for playing better. And I mean, missing in a way that there's some penalty for missing, or just missing in general, very crucial moves, it really doesn't reward the player for playing better. You could be missing every Will-O-Wisp, you could be missing every Toxic, while your opponent just hits every high jump kick and every Zap Cannon. How does that reward you for being a good player? So that's a thing. yeah, so less RNG, more special Pokemon that serve a purpose that you're really trying to make a team out of and be like, yeah, the Wobbuffet example, even though Wobbuffet is a bad Pokemon, you know what I mean, right? There shouldn't just be Pokemon that do the same stuff better or worse. It should be Pokemon that do specific things for them or for a group of Pokemon. Um, yeah, and that's it, I think. So about Pokemon Showdown, I think there should be something more pleasing about it because it's still a growing community and it's pretty often attended by a lot of people. So the 3D models are cool, but everything around it is kind of very, very old schooly. And if I was a 3D graphic designer, I would apply for making it better, but I'm not. So I can only assume, or I can only suggest for someone to do it. Yeah, so sorry for no video this time. I'm just talking about stuff, and I hope some of the stuff that I talked about made sense for you, and you're gonna think a little bit more about Pokemon in general and the upcoming game. Um, yeah, and if you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. It's fair. Yeah, and I'm moving to Denmark pretty soon. I'm moving to Denmark on Thursday, and before I'm settled with my new apartment, because we're moving, it's probably gonna be next week. So expect some actual Pokemon Showdown content on next Monday. Not this Monday, but next Monday. All right, cool. Yeah, thanks. See you next time. Bye bye.